So just back to it, I was saying, are you like, did you come from the Goda were you working directly with the Goda guys, or was it Primal Movement
Um,
from the start?
so so I'll just give you a little bit of the background. Have you had Bam on here yet?
Not yet.
No, not yet.
Okay, yeah, I think that would be a good one for you guys to
And
go
if you want to come
into.
on.
Yeah, but basically, Bam and I lived together in New Orleans, out back of the. We started. We both lived in an individual trailer out back of GLS, which is it stood for Gary Lee Scheffler, which is the guy that I'm sure you know who Gary is at this point. Um,
Yeah.
but they then later changed that to ironically being Go to Locomotive Systems. So I ran that gym for, I don't know, it was like 2 years, 2.5 years, and we opened the new one, and I ran that one too. Um, and then, but Bam and I lived out back of that gym, and we learned from each other a lot of the stuff that we know today. And so we lived in trailers out back of the gym, and then a guy named Gilly, who's a big um, guy in the forefront of Goda. He ended up helping us out, getting us a house to make content out of and just to develop in there. And so Bam and I lived in that house for a few years together. And so kind of that would be more of like the origins of where Bam and I came from. And I ended up kind of branching off on my own and created a company with one of my best friends that was also a part of the Goda stuff. But there's a backstory to that. But we created and are developing an AI tool to be able to do the movement screening that we do. I'm sure you've seen some of the assessment stuff online, but we are developing and I mean finalizing the still frame version of it. So being able to take pictures of somebody and then the AI be able to analyze it and do the whole thing for us, spit out like an 8-page report and like be able to educate the client that way. I don't have to spend 45 minutes on a on form and going over it, right? So being able to do that,
Mhm.
that's kind of where I branched off, and then Bam branched off into his thing, Primal Movement with Carly and Jameson. And now we all kind of work together. Like Carly lives here, and she's going to be the first coach outside of me and my business partner to utilize the AI assessment for her business, personal business. So that's a really big deal for us. But that's kind of like where we came from, and like we kind of split off, went separate directions. But like at the same time, we know people at the top are collaborating, so we want to make sure that we all stay on good terms and we're all doing stuff to build each other up rather than saying like, oh man, you're doing the same thing as me, you're a competitor, this and that. Like that's not how we want to do it. We want
Right.
to be family. I mean, we are. That's my brother. So I would never look at him in that way, you know. But that's kind of like the backstory of that a little bit.
What are the with the assessment? I saw that there's the eight movement points that y'all look at. What are those 8 points for the people listening?
So basically, it really comes down to the main points. There is really just going to be the ankles and the back chain. So like those, that's the main points. The other stuff would be like suppleness, feet alignment. You're looking into like your shoulders. So we've got inside ankle bone high, you've heard of that. Back chain dominance, you've heard of that. Feet alignment, you kind of understand that. Columns, and then you've got your shoulders, and then the other ones you're just looking at your suppleness, your landing, and your launching. So you're just basically taking a look at the fundamentals of movement, but the main pieces that hold the most weight is going to be how strong are your ankles and how well developed is your posterior chain. Everything else pretty much stems from that.
For
Nice.
someone hearing this and they're thinking about their ankles right now, like just a couple of quick things that they could do, without going through a whole movement screening. Like how should someone be aligning and utilizing the ankle efficiently?
Okay. So like if you're looking, like, let's say that I just stand up and I'm looking down at my ankles and I'm looking down at my feet. Okay, are they relatively pointed straight? Like we don't want to like get this sense of like, oh, there's like this law and your feet have to be like perfectly straight. No, like it just depends on what you want to do. If let's say I'm a straight line sprinter. Okay, if I'm a straight line sprinter, if I have a slight point out to my foot, it's totally fine. You're going to be a little bit quicker that way. If I'm a change direction athlete, if my feet are slightly pigeon toed, that might be a little bit better for you so you can change direction a little bit quicker and you can be a little bit lighter on your feet. The other thing is like I do a test with a lot of my athletes is like just for fun is like we're going to do this whole workout without letting our heels touch the ground. Are you going to be able to do
Mm.
that? And it's just like it's things like that that are just so simple yet so overlooked. Like think about I have some athletes do that and they literally like can't do it. Like for 45 minutes to keep their heels off the ground. And if you are getting tired, like let's say in your calves, or let's say your Achilles is getting tight because it's not used to carrying that, you just go to the ground and you sit on your feet and then you kind of let them relax. So then you're just getting into this cycle of this positive behavior of okay, I've failed on my feet, so then I go to the ground and reset. And then I stand up, fail on my feet, go to the ground and reset. So like that would be like the base thing. Like if I wanted to work on my ankles, how long can I keep my heels up out of the ground? And can I keep them relatively straight? And then if I get tired, just go to the ground and sit on your feet. Start opening up your ankles. Simple as that.
I like that. I like that. I hadn't ever thought about that. So real quick, like when you first started doing all of this, how was your movement and was it a big transition for you?
Okay. So I was basically crippled. Um,
Mm.
I when I came out of high school, I went to a junior college to pitch, play baseball, and it got to the point where when I was running, I had such bad sciatica because I went to a JUCO, and if you know anything about JUCO training, it's like 6 hours a day, and they don't really care about your body. They're just like, we're doubling down on everything. Like we had a like one part of our practice once a week would be like we're gonna run until somebody throws up, and it's just like dumb stuff like that, right? But we were running one time and like the sciatic got so bad in my left leg that I could like barely lift my leg off the ground. And so I told my coach, blah, 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 whatever, went and got looked at by the doctors and okay, you've got some disc issues in your lower back. Some people told me I might need surgery and I was just like, okay, this ain't happening. And um, from there, when I started doing movement training, this would have been, man, this is a whole story into it. So um, basically, I quit baseball, and that was like the hardest thing for me to do at 19. Man, I remember I was just bawling in the parking lot because like I was just like I wanted to, but my body physically would not let me play baseball. And so then I went to go work for my dad, and I would kind of I would he owns a flooring store, so I would sweep the carpet fibers right off of the ground for after they cut the carpet, and I would sweep for like 2 or 3 minutes, dude, and my lower back would be on fire, like literally like 8 out of 10 pain. I'd have to lay on the ground and like put my feet up on the wall to like relax my back, like after sweeping for like 3 minutes, dude.
It's
Um,
crazy.
yeah, crazy. I could barely like walk without pain. And at 19 years old, and then I was just like looking into like Mike Trout at the time, like I don't know, he's probably like 23, 25, something like that, just hitting absolute nukes. And I was just like, okay, this dude's the best baseball player on the planet. And like I can't even move. So like what is he doing differently that I'm not? And that's what sparked it first. I was like, okay, this guy, if I could just feel what he feels, I would probably feel better. Like that just made sense to me. And so my movement was absolute trash, dude. Like my stance was literally like I had this right here where I was like my left leg was like way out here and I would like push through. And
Oh,
like that's how I would stand all the time. And like my left ankle was completely collapsed. My hips were just completely pushed forward. I mean, it stemmed from video games when I was younger. I played World of Warcraft every single day since I was like 8 years old, up until like 22 years old. So like it just sitting in the computer chair, just like absolutely addicted to the game, like it does something to your hips and your back, like you guys understand. But that's kind of what the mixture of baseball and that like destroyed my movement. And that's when I was like, okay, like these like deadlifts they're not gonna fix me. Like, sure, go deadlift if you want to be powerful really quick, but like you have this there's an opportunity cost to it, right? So like you've got
mhm.
your return on investment for it. We know it produces power, but there's an opportunity cost. Your movement's going to be your opportunity cost, which is okay if that's what you want to do. But regardless, started working into like the realm of movement when I started asking the question about like Mike Trout or like even like Nolan Ryan. Started looking into him and I'm like, okay, this dude pitched for so long. And last pitch recorded at like 98 miles an hour at 46 years old, pitched a 213 pitch game, not including any of his warm-ups or bullpens.
Yeah.
Just like how did he last that long? And like just like wanting to know more and more and more about it. First place that I landed was actually the baseball ranch in Houston. So if you guys didn't know, I mean, you guys had Brian McGinty on recently. He actually went to the baseball ranch as well. He was a catcher.
This
We
is
talked
the
about
pitching
that.
doctor?
What's that?
Is this the pitching doctor?
No, I know who that is though. I've never met him,
Okay.
but I know who you're talking about. That dude throws like 100. And is that who you're talking about?
Yeah, I think so. So Brian was mentioning somebody that he was working with. He said he mentioned the pitching doctor. So I don't know. I was just
Okay,
asking if
so
that's who you were talking about.
the baseball world is like I would say the baseball world is very ahead of the game, like as far as
Mm,
training. Like you know how Tony Holler was talking about like feed the cats and all?
Right.
hmm
Yeah.
Like, so at the baseball ranch, when I was there in, I think 2017, and like even prior to that is when they were doing this kind of stuff, but they would strategically schedule pitchers programs around developing them to where like on Friday is when they're going to throw their absolute hardest, right? So like you're not going all out every day, you're developing yourself and saving yourself for this one moment, and then bam, then you train really hard, and then you shut it down and you like build up for a whole week, and then you bam, you train really hard. And part of that training was going back to McGinty. He's talking about they adopted the Marinovich training method at the baseball ranch. And so when I was there
Mm,
for a while, I was just doing 12 seconds as fast as possible because the ATP PC system runs out after 12 seconds. So
right.
we were doing
hmm
12 seconds or under as fast as possible. And we all had notebooks and we had partners and they would count our reps with whatever we were doing. So then we would know if we were getting faster or not getting faster, or if you were just kind of dogging it and not doing your like a full speed rep. So like one thing that Brian and I talked about when he was at Ubrzati was like we would get on a wall at the baseball ranch and we would kind of do something like this where there would be a wall behind us and we'd have a med ball with handles and we would like slam it here and then turn and slam it here really, really fast. And so your partner would count how many taps you get on the wall. And in 12 seconds, a good number there would be like 48 taps, right? So you're just
Wow.
whip, 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 whip as hard as you can. So a lot of that training started to open my eyes to like, okay, there's different methods to all of this. It's not just get in the gym and lift real heavy. Although we still did some of that at the baseball ranch. And they were really, really focused on how what's the quality of your throw and can we get it to look something like Nolan Ryan or Max Scherzer or Greg Maddux or Aroldis Chapman. So we're looking at these people that lasted the longest, didn't have many injuries, if any, and threw really hard or just threw really well. And they all got to these like checkpoint positions, and we were just breaking it down. And I did really well with learning their movement system as far as throwing, but there was still something off. And that's when I started asking questions about the feet. And I was
Mm.
like, okay, I remember I was talking to this dude. His name's Dakota Backus. He played for the Washington Nationals. We trained together for a while in my hometown. He's like one of the first guys from my hometown to ever make it to the bigs, if not probably the only to make it to the bigs. And he, I was just asking him. I was like, bro, how do you use your foot when you're throwing off the mound? And he's like, I don't know, just kind of like tri foot, kind of thing, tripod foot. And I was just like, okay, like but it just really didn't make sense to me. I was like, there's something missing there. And like people just couldn't answer it the way that I needed them to. And then an ad popped up on Go to Movement. And it was literally just like it said outside edge training, showed a picture of Nolan Ryan at release point and Usain Bolt running midair. And they looked the same. And I was like, holy shit, that makes sense. So then I started working on my movement and it got way better after that. But I still had pain up to that point, and then when I literally I started replacing a lot of my stretches with just walking on a sideline of a soccer field and with straight feet, and my pain started to like whittle away. It was crazy, but that's kind of like where my movement was. It was really really bad, and then I just really just dug into like what would make me feel better. And I started with my throw, which kind of led me, it kind of was, I kind of went backwards where it was like started with the throw and then went back into the walk and the crawl when really I should go walk and crawl and then into the throw. Right. So that's kind of where it was and kind of led me to this.
That's pretty cool. So what one quick like backdrop. Where's your hometown?
Bettendorf, Iowa.
Oh, okay, cool. Cool. So
Yeah.
when'd you move down to Florida?
So spent 3 or 4 summers in Houston, in starting in 2016, 2017, and then spent 3 years in New Orleans with
Mhm.
at GLS, and then moved to Dallas where we started Gateway Max, and then from there, this would have been December of this year, is when Tim and I got on the phone and made the decision that it would be beneficial if I moved out here and started working at Ubrzati. And I was like, okay, yeah, this is a great opportunity for not only for me but for Gateway to get more athletes into the system and kind of things like that because we're we do a lot of testing for the AI. Like I'll just get all these athletes and I'll just pump them into the system so the AI can learn more and more and more. So it's a good environment for me to be in with all the athletes. So moved out here about 7 months ago.
Nice. Nice.
Yeah,
So
that's pretty recently. That's only a year. That's really cool.
Mhm.
Um, when you're looking at, so we're looking at like, efficiency of the ankle and proper, we talked a lot about that, like proper positioning. What about the shoulder? Because you mentioned one of the testing in your system is the shoulder. Is it just going to be like alignment of the shoulder, or when we're looking at performance, is there certain other things that you're thinking about as well?
Yeah, so like if you go take a look at like a lot of the high level basketball players and a lot of the high level pitchers, you'll see that a lot of them they favor their finish. So like we would call it like a pre-cornered shoulder. And when you favor your finish, you kind of have something that looks like this, where it's almost like if you get like a big heavy bench press guy, like he's here and
Mhm.
then you just set the arms down and that's where they hang. So like that would put like a pitcher at risk for them because they need to be able to take this humerus and be able to just wind it back as much as possible. So ideally we would want to see something like this where the thumbs are pointed forward, and we have this, you can see like that gap in the hand, because that tells me that that humerus bone is kind of sitting back in that socket. So like when the pitcher comes back, they've got to be able to really get open right there. I'm sure you guys have messed around with a lot of throwing, even the rope flow stuff, you can feel it. So that's a big piece. Like obviously we're looking at the levelness of the shoulders. That's important, but really just focused on, okay, where is that humerus bone sitting? Is it rotated back into the socket? Is it in a posterior state, or is it in that anterior state where they're kind of stuck right here, which is like majority of people when they're, you know,
Right, yeah,
right?
100%.
Yeah, I mean, my sport too.
Or cranking out some World of Warcraft.
Yeah, dude, just
Yeah.
right here, 24/7,
Yeah,
bro.
I
Yeah.
mean, that's a big problem with my sport too. I'm a swimmer, and that's like all of us have those cranky shoulders, and our hips are turned out because in the pool we have to have our feet like proper go to position where we have to have them inside. And
Yeah,
so our adductors are always tight, and you see on land horrible, but in the water we follow those principles. We follow
for
the principles
sure.
of the inside ankle bone, and
It's efficient,
it's
bro.
incredible. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it's incredible. It's incredible how even just like one tiny cue of rotating the humerus out, it really just puts the shoulder back into place. I was trying it out while you were talking about it, and it feels so good. It
Yeah.
feels amazing.
Yeah, there's a lot of like, dude, when you're a pitcher and you're obsessed over it, dude, you find some weird stuff that make your shoulders feel good. And like
Hmm.
there was a girl that she had been playing basketball. Well, she does play basketball. She's a stud. She's in high school. She just committed to a college in New York, I believe. But she'd been in pain for a year and a half. We just finished up yesterday. We just finished up her last session with me. We did 10 sessions over a span of about 3 months. And it was she had like really bad like upper neck pain and then into like her rhomboids and like scap area. And she had tried everything, like whatever, like going to physical therapy, chiropractic, things like that. And basically she also had lower back and right knee pain, but we did assessment on her to start, obviously, and then we just did some movement stuff, got her got her access squat back so she was able to sink all the way to the ground, got her palms flat on the ground, got the all the bases checked, and she was still having this shoulder pain. And I just show her this like this small drill where we kind of put like, you guys kind of know like that drop in position here, kind of like when you're
Hmm.
coiling into the barbell. But I'll get her in that position. But then let me just move this up. I'll take like a really light band, and we'll be like right in here, and we'll have the band anchored behind or like lower behind, so at like this angle, and then we'll just take that band and we'll rotate the hip here, and then we'll just let this shoulder sink into that external rotation and just feel that scap kind of like sink underneath and learn to relax all those muscles. Because all the when you're here all the time, it's you're basically just kind of pulling on this all the time. So the fix is to make it as short as possible. So basically, you put her in that position, get here, get really short into that shoulder, and just take that humerus and just freaking turning it, dude, turning it. And after our last session yesterday, her mom told me that for past 3 weeks, this is the first time in a year and a half that she's ever heard that her daughters had no pain. And she didn't play a single game last season. She's played in every single game this season. Attended every single workout, conditioning, no pain. So just like being able to take my background of pitching, have these like crazy weird movements that we're doing and like cocking the neck over here, doing stuff like that, but like it works. Like I don't care what it looks like. I don't care what it's called. I don't care what you do. Is if it works, do it. So like, yeah.
Why is the full range of motion squat important?
Okay. So basically, one, it's the right side up version of Seiza. Okay, so like when you're sitting on the ground in like your samurai position, so like I am here, right? It's if I just turn it the other way, where I just flip my feet, turn the camera. So if I'm here and then I just flip my feet and go back here, it's the same position. I'm just either on the ground or I'm on my feet. And the reason why it's so important is because if you can't do it, it's a tell that your posterior chain is super tight. So like for example, like if I'm able to do if I'm able to go all the way down like this, there's a really, really good chance that you're able to do the other one. But if you're not able to do this, there's a really low chance that you're able to get all the way down. And it's not necessarily that the position itself is important, I wouldn't say. Because like it's not like I'm hanging out in my access squat all the time. I'm more hanging out on the ground like this. It's just important for your posterior chain to have that length in order to achieve those kind of things. It's just about freedom, about being able to do what you want. And it's
Right.
just that's just like a natural movement for humans to make all the time. So like if you don't have that, like imagine being 80 years old and you have a grandkid and you can't squat down. You're not gonna be able to play with your grandkids. Like that's what's so important to me. Like even when I train that girl, the basketball girl, like we have conversations over that. Like I want her to be able to play with her grandkids when she's older. I don't care as much about her playing basketball. That's a byproduct. She's going to feel healthier and she's going to be able to go do what she wants. But her lineage is the most important. The generational effect is the most important. If you can give your kids something that is able to make them better than you were, then like that's the most important thing. And if you can get on the ground and play with them when you're older, like I mean, there's nothing that will be able to replace that. And like I don't have kids, so like I can't like emotionally tie myself to that, but I understand the importance.
Yeah, 100%. What about like, because it looked like right there, I couldn't tell if you had heels down or if you were on your toes, but I think most people can do a full squat while they're on their toes, but
Yeah.
putting the heels down is like a major difference.
Yeah, it is a major difference. It's definitely like I wouldn't say that like it's fully required to like have that if you want to be like great. Like some days I can't do it because I'm a little tight, right? Because when you train hard, you get sore. And like especially because of the way that I grew up playing video games and sitting in chairs all the time, like my body developed around that. So it's hard for me to consistently keep that. But like my brother, for example, my brother wrestled all the time, did not play as many video games when he was growing up. So when you wrestle, what are you doing? You're on the ground 24/7. He's 34 and never trained this way and can still sit down and do his deep squat no problem. So it's the way that you develop yourself in your childhood that's going to determine how easy those things are in your future. Not to say you can't get it back, because when I started, dude, my squat was this. It was literally this. This is how low I could go before my heels would have to come up. But like I could get it pretty much all the way down on a consistent basis. But like some days it's just like not there, you know. You got to warm up, got to do the thing. Sometimes it takes like crawling for like 5 minutes, like a baby, and then I'll just sink right down into it. Opens it up.
So quick thing, like we have right now in the fitness industry, we have all these differing opinions. We got people like functional patterns saying that a deep squat is completely useless. Then you've got you guys saying that a deep squat is completely it's what you need to it's a fundamental human movement. And
Mhm.
then you've got traditional weightlifting saying that the squat is the best movement, that it's the most complete movement. So it's like where does one navigate the lines of what all these gurus are saying and what everybody wants to claim, you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, for sure. This is the way I look at it, dude. Let me see if I have something here to explain this. My brain works in analogies 24/7, bro. So like something like let's just say this, right? Okay. So I got this keyboard, right? All
Okay.
right. So you guys are looking at the keyboard. I'm looking at the keyboard. Okay. We both see the same object. But in this standpoint, you guys see all these keys and these letters. From my perspective, I see a blank white slate with an Apple logo. We see two completely different things, but it's the same thing, right? All of these people see the same thing, but just from a different angle. The truth is embodied by the whole perspective. And the whole perspective isn't just one and two, there's infinite perspectives all the way around this object. So there's infinite perspectives all the way around the squat, right? It's like I don't access squat every single day. Like I don't really care about my access squat, to be honest with you. I care if I feel good. And I think that we're
Mm-hmm.
all trying to do our best. And that's what matters the most. If you're trying to do your best, like truly, and you're not trying to harm other people or try to take their money for just for your own personal gain, then I think that it's fine to like have some sort of belief system because I'm sure that there's merit to squatting heavy. I'm sure there is. I'm not going to do it because I know how it makes me feel personally. And I wouldn't condone it to like if I want somebody to run super fast, I think that there's better ways that you can get fast than a healthier way that's more of like a I want to be fast in 5 years. You know, I don't want to be fast in a year and then maybe introduce a risk of getting hurt. I want to make sure that I'm taking the precautions that I'm not going to get hurt and be able to train consistently over 5, 6 years. Because, you know, what's the famous quote um, from Usain Bolt? He like trained 5 or 6 years to perform for
Yeah.
9 seconds, you know, like that's kind of my perspective on things. So like again, like sometimes I'll have this feeling of like, okay, yeah, I'll get into my deep squat and I'll kind of like practice a little bit just to like kind of brush it up, you know, like I just want to make sure that I can still do something like that because I know it's valuable for getting up and down from the ground. But and that we just talked about that skill for as you get older, you need to practice that so that let's say I don't know, you're 80 and you fall over, you know, like you need to have ownership over the ground so that you can get back up. But there's times where I don't care about my deep squat. I'm more focused on running as fast as possible. And maybe my deep squat suffers for a little bit because I'm getting tight in my hamstrings a little. You know, like it's just it's a game of perspective and I don't think that there's one singular truth. I think that we all have perspectives and we're all trying to do our best again. And if you're just trying to do your best and help people, I think that that's I mean that's great, you know. So I
Yeah.
don't hate on anybody for anything that they're doing. I'm sure what functional patterns does help some people, but it just it wouldn't work for me. You know, I've tried some of the things, just didn't work for me.
What are some
100%. I
other
mean,
what are some other aspects of the suppleness that people can like try to hit the mark on?
Yeah, I think that being it so one big thing is pinky to pinky. So pinky on the hand, pinky to the foot. So if I can take this is kind of what Michael Jordan used to do a lot when he would go out and warm up, is he would kind of do something like this, and then he would go like this all the time. And so basically, if you can take this pinky toe and same side pinky, and I can rotate into this hip and get this hamstring really long, and then be able to take this and get it really long, that pathway from this pinky to this pinky all the way through my body is getting as long as possible. And that's a really, really, really good way to open up that singular side and then rotating it to the other side. A lot of people do like elephant walks, you know what I'm talking about? Like this.
Yeah.
mm-hmm.
Like that's just like it's almost incomplete. Like there's more to it. It's a great movement, but you can do it better. That's what I'm interested in. So that's a good
Going along
go ahead.
my bad for interrupting, but going along that's like the fascia line right there where we're talking
You got
about
it.
the spiral dynamic and we're talking about connecting the pinky to the pinky. Like that's something that in practice they always told us like they'd tell us to enter from our pinky and that we kind of curve there and that we want to feel the line from from head above our head all the way to our toes. And it's like that's not something I understood until I started reading about the fascia.
Yeah, that's it's also if I'm a pitcher, the same thing. So that back foot is turned here, and then that hand is getting way out here too. So it's the pinky
Mhm.
and pinky there. So it's as long as possible, and that's like the release. Or in Brett, your world, boom, boom,
Right.
right? It's in a lot of martial artists, they call that the line of power. It's all the way through the lateral side of the body, all the way down the legs, IT band into the outside of the calf. Like that's the strong line of the body. So Eastern culture, line of
I've,
power.
I've always thought it was very interesting how like the martial arts and even other sports, but specifically the martial arts have been on these, kind of like new protocols that people like so-called new protocols and new systems that people are talking about, but the martial arts have been doing this stuff for time, for
Oh
for
yeah,
all of time.
dude, Shaolin, bro. Shaolin is the goat. Like that's to me, like that's those people. There's a select few individuals in the Shaolin world that can throw a needle through a pan of glass.
Yeah.
Dude,
Damn.
think about that. It's crazy.
That's insane.
Yeah, bro. But I used to watch that in slow-mo every day, bro. It's just like the arm action that they have is just disgusting. It's just like wham, 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 and then boom, all the way out front. All the energy just goes into this pinpoint.
I'm sure y'all have seen the dude on Instagram. I can't think of his name, but he's like fully adopted the Shaolin monk lifestyle.
The white dude,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
just
the
a
like
regular white dude.
yeah, dude, he's a killer.
Yeah, and but it's cool when you watch the movement, like when you watch the flow of the movement and all the rotational qualities and so much more than just that. But it's beautiful when you watch it and then you compare it to what certain individuals are teaching.
Yeah, yeah, chi is a real thing, bro.
Yeah,
Like
Yeah,
real.
yeah,
yeah.
100%, 100%. And I think one of the cool things about Weck is how he completely he learned from a lot of those guys. So he talks about some of that stuff. And like when you think about the hand movements, like especially getting into the Weck fist, like that you really start to feel those lines. You start to feel like that rotational aspect of the whole body where everything moves in a spiral.
Yeah, dude, just winding it up.
Yeah, 100%. So going along that, like apart from like watching stuff like are you a big reader? Have there been like any books that have really stood out to you when it comes to the training?
Yeah, bro. All right here, all my books. But
Nice.
yeah, but yeah, I give away a lot of my books too. So I'll read them and just be like, yo, here, take this. This will help you. You know, um, I think honestly,
I'm the guy that gets that book from somebody and I don't return it.
yeah,
I
I
just
never
keep
get them.
building my library.
I never get them back. But talking about reading, bro, this book by Jim Quick, it's called Limitless. If you know who that is, that if you're gonna read, that's the first book you should start with, 100%. Like because he's a guy that his clientele base, I don't know if it still is, but was a lot of like Hollywood actors and actresses, and he would teach them how to memorize their scripts, and he would teach
Mhm.
them how to read their scripts faster. And so like I think the story goes that his mentor, Jim's mentor, was like, "Yo, you need to read like 30 or 35 books in a month or something like that." And he's like, "Don't come
Whoa.
back to me until you do." He's like, "I ain't doing that shit, blah blah blah." Well, and then I think he ends up doing it or something like that. And then the mentor is like, "What did you learn?" You know, and like kind of one of those kind of stories. And but he eventually he figured out that the school system, it teaches you what to learn, but it never teaches you how to learn, and that's the most important skill. And that I think that that's a skill that we're all striving for outside of school, that we just never get taught. And a lot of times it's like teachers will get frustrated with you if you can't learn something as quick as they want you to. Well, maybe nobody really taught you how to learn, and a lot of times that's a behavior that can be kind of passed down to you from your parents. If they're good at something, you're going to be good at something too, kind of thing. And you just didn't get that. And he was kind of one of those kids, slow reader, didn't learn very much, and just kind of got written off as, you know, that kid that just can't learn kind of thing. And so he took it upon himself. It's usually the ones that suck at something that become the best at it, right? So he in his book, I got it right here. I got a whole bunch of like artwork on it and stuff like that. This isn't the actual cover, but basically he just goes through and teaches you everything that he learned through like memorizing. So a lot of like association stuff, which is pretty basic as far as like if you're memorizing flashcards and stuff like that, you want to be able to associate those things to different things that you already know, so you can create better brain connections. Talks about specific foods to eat on a consistent basis. I saw you guys are on like that thesis stuff, like it's stuff like that where he's like got these little tips and tricks to help you create better brain connections. And in the book, he shows you how to read more words per minute. That's why it's the most important book. So he literally, I went from like, I think it was like, I timed myself, it was like 311 words per minute. And I went right up to like 630 words per minute in literally like a week. So it doubled my reading
Damn.
intake and increased the ability to like maintain the information. Because like he says in the book that if you go back and reread your passage, you're gonna forget the concept faster. So like everybody does that. You like read a passage and you're like, man, what did I just read? And you just go back and you read it again. And then you like you read it like 3 or 4 times and you're like, damn, like, and then you don't get the encompassing point. You're like reading like one paragraph like 3 times and then you move on.
Yeah.
But he says just literally just go through the chapter. Like that's one thing. Another thing, he says when you read, you should be able to count to 10 on repeat in your head. So like basically, yeah, dude, it's crazy. Yeah, dude,
That's interesting.
it's
Just
nuts,
if I got noise in the background, I feel like I can't read.
right? So like
That's
he
actually something I've been working on, like trying to read it in like noisy environments, because
I
that's
read
like
with
I feel like
music.
that's a skill right there.
I read with so he says Baroque music is the best. Um,
Baroque.
Baroque is like classical, like Beethoven, stuff like that. He said that's the best music to listen to while you read, like the tempos and things like that. But the other thing is, so when you're counting to 10 while you're reading, basically what you're doing is you're teaching yourself to look at the words as symbols and associate them with things in your head rather than trying to uh, use the symbols of the word to read it, or the syllables, sorry. So you don't want to look at the words as syllables, you want to look at them as symbols or characters. So like you're not actually like sounding out the word, you're just seeing it and you just automatically like know what that like picture means. So like you look at the word, let's just say mentality, and instead of like looking at it as syllables, which is how we're taught when we're in kindergarten, first grade, you mentality, that's how you're taught to read, but really it's just a symbol, it's a symbol and it means something. What does that thing mean to you? So you see it and you don't have to sound it out, you just see it and it automatically registers. So
Yeah.
you're able to then scan the page and use your peripherals and see all the symbols, and then it just creates a story in your head.
That sounds like a lot more like instinctual learning where
Yeah.
like for example with movement as well, like if you have the ability to feel, then you know it. So
Yeah.
that sounds a lot like the reading.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. So like that's why, dude, that I think book number one for everybody, if you're interested in like learning information when you're reading, that's book number one, because it doubles your intake of learning. And if you double your intake, like that's best possible case.
I'm gonna have to
Yeah.
read that. I looked it up whenever you said it, and I saw it's been in my cart actually for a while. I recognize the
Yeah.
cover, but I have
Yeah.
never
It's
read
funny.
that one.
I actually didn't know about the book, but my business partner took Jim Quick's course, shoot, probably 6 years ago, like 3 or 4 years before we even started our business together. And my brother got me that book without knowing anything. He just saw it on the bookshelf. He got it for me for my birthday one year, and he's like, "Yeah, I don't know, it kind of looked like a book you would read." And
Yeah.
I was like, "Okay." And then I read it, and I was like, "Dang, like this, I should have read this book years ago."
Yeah.
You
100%.
What
So
about
going along the path of learning, like, would you say, because this is my perspective, but would you say that having a larger movement vocabulary allows you to learn a little bit easier? Like if you could learn the path, for example, feeling a connection between your foot and your glute, you think that that translates into education?
Yeah. So when I train athletes, um, let's just take a step back from that. So a lot of people have a problem with external validation. So they'll do
Mm,
something and they'll be like, is this right? And I don't care if it's right. I care what you feel. The only way that I can teach you the most efficiently is if you can consistently communicate what you're feeling over the session rather than saying, "Oh, does this look right?" Like, no, like I don't care if it looks right. You need to tell me what you feel. Okay? Because if you
100%?
if you feel something in a position that is alarming, we need to know instantly and then we can adapt to that. So like that's exactly I think where you're headed there, but I think the underlying thing there is not necessarily about the feel thing. It's about entering the mental aspect and the emotional aspect of the client is like you need to help like as a coach, you're a therapist. Like it just is. That's the way it is. Especially if you're one on one with people. So being able to like recognize that in somebody and being like, hey, like it's okay. Like if you fail, it's okay if it's wrong. Like dude, you don't have to be like perfect all the time. You don't need that external validation. Like it's about getting deeper into that. And then you can kind of let them explore on their own through what you're talking about is feeling to learn. Because a lot of people can't even access that because they have that underlying like emotional like trauma, I guess you would say, of needing that external validation of this being correct.
I
Yeah.
like that. I actually really like that. That's something that I've been trying to explore because I've been working a lot with my eyes closed, working a lot blindfolded.
Sure.
And the big thing is, I got on a call with this guy named Stefan Duvier.
Okay.
Uh, I would look at his stuff if I were you. I like the stuff that he's putting out there. I think his Instagram is Air Duvi. And one of the things they were talking about was neuro. I don't want to butcher the word, so I'm not going to say it. It's like synchronization, something like that. But
Sure.
not needing external cues to feel, having that complete awareness in your body to where you close your eyes and that's where you correct it. You correct
Okay.
it when you go into the body rather than having somebody tell you, yeah, move your rib in, rotate slightly to the right. Once
Yeah.
you gain that recognition within, that's when things really start to connect.
Here's another book for you. It's called The Inner Game of Tennis. You ever heard of that?
Oh, no, I haven't. That sounds good.
Oh
I'm looking
man,
now.
dude, you're gonna eat that up. It's literally everything you just talked about, but like way more. Like it's as this is the problem with coaching. Coaching isn't necessarily needed. Like that's the issue. It's
Mm,
it's like a monkey see, monkey do thing. Like you put a kid in an environment with professional athletes every single day for 10 years, you better bet that kid's going to be more athletic. But you put that kid in an environment with people that are playing World of Warcraft 24/7, he ain't going to be athletic. Like that's the thing. So like if I'm a coach, right? My job is when somebody pays me is to coach their kid how to do something. Well, the problem with that is that most coaches take that and they want to use verbal cues as validation that they're doing something. Those verbal cues often do worse to the kid than they do to better them. Because like
mhm.
the verbal cue is here's where it gets kind of deep. The verbal cue is Sometimes it can be needed if you're really helping, if it's the kid's doing something that's just like way off, right? Okay, let's try putting your foot here to start. Okay. But like when you're verbally cueing on an extensive basis, if you're doing it a lot, it's like an ego trip. It's you thinking you know more than what's happening in the moment. Like the kid needs to learn subconsciously. They can't, if you learn consciously, it just doesn't stick. A lot of times what I do is I'll try to like feed the kid failure by like, okay, I'll show them the movement or something, and then the kid will get up there and they'll do it and they'll be like, okay, is this right? You know, that the external validation shows up almost every time. And then it's more like the what I'll do is I'll answer back with a question. Like, what do you think? You know, like I'll start there and like, oh, how does that feel? Oh, what do you think about this? Where do you think that should be? I'll question them through the movement so that they can figure it out on their own rather than telling them you have to do this with your foot and do this, we do that, do this, do that, because then that's just the coach's ego coming out thinking that I know more than the kid, but really the kid can figure it out. You just have to guide
Mhm.
them with questions and let them fail. The more you let them
There's
fail, the
two
faster
things
they learn.
there. There's two things there for sure. I remember reading that in a book called The Language of Coaching, where it's like over cueing can make the client feel stupid, and then once you
Yeah,
make them feel stupid, they lose trust. And
yeah,
second thing is like your tactic of asking the question. That's literally the art of negotiation. You're
yep,
negotiating with them to learn.
yep, yeah.
That's
That's
awesome.
Never Split the Difference, Chris Voss.
Yeah, I'm reading that right now.
Yeah, phenomenal book. The dude's insane. Yeah, he's good stuff. But
Especially the
that's
first line of the book, man, where he's like, I have your son. I'm like, oh fuck.
yeah, that's when he's at Harvard or whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, really good book. That information can be used for evil, and don't fall down that path. But
100%.
that's something that's morally you just kind of have to like, okay, if I'm going to practice this information, then what am I going to use it for? And like that's kind of like where I went with it, is like, okay, I'm going to just help ask more questions in my coaching to let the kid be the coach rather than like, because it's less about being a coach and more about being a leader for me, because I want to lead from the front. I want to guide them. It's almost like I have a flashlight and we're in a cave and I'm in the front and I'm like, hey, look, there's that path. I've been down there. You could try that if you want, or you might get hurt, but like you can try, and then we can go over here, or like, hey, there's this path here. Let's take that one, and then I'll show you what that looks like. Or like, hey, what did that, like, if you went down that path of the cave, what did it smell like? What did it feel like? Were the rocks different? Things like that. So like asking those questions to help stimulate them and get their wheels turning. Because I mean, nowadays, I don't know if you've seen like the brain scans of the Chat GPT era, but like, bro, like there's no critical thinking. So like it's up to us to like help these kids learn how to critically think. I mean,
We're
100%.
cooked, as they say.
I
yeah.
mean, school also doesn't help you with the critical thinking because it's like we have to do this one thing. We have to get the answer right on the test. And like, especially when I was in college, we had professors literally saying that this information was already disproven. Like it's already wrong, but like that's what's on the test. So that's what we have to learn. So it's like, what is going on here? You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
That was my issue with my kinesiology degree. I dropped out, and like, dude, everything I was learning, it was just like this just doesn't make sense. Like, and
Hmm.
like when I was at school, I went to a Division II in Iowa, and um dude, when we were doing our strength training, it was like every single team, male, female, football, volleyball, soccer, baseball, was doing the same freaking thing, dude. It just made no sense. But like I remember going into the office to the strength coaches and I was like, do you guys ever thought about like personalizing some of this stuff? And they were like, yeah, we just don't have time. And I'm like, what the it's your job, bro.
That's what that was like the swim team. I swam at a Division 1 school, and we were on the same program as the football team.
Yeah,
Like
dude.
literally the same exact thing. And it was like a lot of the things that we had to be good at, like ankle stiffness, we need quite literally the opposite. We
Need some
need to
flippers,
be,
bro.
yeah, exactly. And like our shoulders, we didn't need to be like, we're doing a lot of like hang cleans and stuff, making us stiff in the
Oh,
traps. But
can't
what
get
we
back
needed
in
is
here
that
anymore.
mobility. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So it was
Mhm.
that's very interesting that you say that because it's so true. If you go to any Division 1, Division 2, any strength program, they're doing the same exact things, sport to sport,
Mhm.
Go into that a
which
little
is
more,
why.
Colin, about the differences that you notice, working how you do now versus when you were studying the kinesiology.
Um, so when I was studying kinesiology in school, it was, I mean, again, school just teaches you what to learn. So it was just full memorization. And it was just like, okay, doing anatomy, going through this, and then like you have like a kinesiology one class or whatever, and you're just like I'm just like watching like the things in the book or like looking at the pictures in the book, and I'm like, dude, I would never put myself in that position, like ever. Like that doesn't even make sense to me. And like that's just like what they wanted us to learn, and like you just learn by the book, and like it just didn't make a lot of sense. Although I did have a really good nutrition teacher when I was in school, and I think there's a lot there. Just like movement and training, I think nutrition has like its own world of like people like battling from different angles and stuff like that.
Sure.
And I had a really good teacher that asked a lot, like made us question what we were kind of eating, and like didn't really go into like the whole like dyes and like things of like current like health trends of like, seed oils and this and that, but it was more like, like, what about your macros? Like, what do you think would be best for you as an athlete? Like, would you eat pasta the day before a game, or or are you just going to stick to like protein all the time? Like, kind of pose the questions to us. And that was really cool. That made me experiment a little bit more with my diets. I even, went vegan for a few months and was just like, really weird. I would just like go to the fruit and vegetable section of the grocery store, and I would just get like as many different colors of things as possible, and I would throw them all in a smoothie and then just blend it up and just slam it. And it it was like 1,000 calories of just fruits and vegetables, some spices, maybe some honey, stuff like that. But like, dude, it was disgusting. But like,
Have you ever seen the Kimbo slice shake?
no, I
Oh my
haven't.
God. Oh my God. You put some leather in there.
It's
Leather?
like yeah, it's
Yeah.
like raw ground beef, raw eggs. What else is in there?
There's a gallon of milk, a
Damn.
piece of leather,
Yeah, a
and
piece of leather.
What?
yeah, so he said you got to
Dude,
be tough. So he cut up a piece of leather and put the leather in there.
no, bro. I mean, hey, man, if it makes me punch like him, bro, I'll do it, you know?
Uh, but on like a more serious note though, like some of the holistic practices and some of the more, trendy things, but that actually have merit. Like I see you drinking out of the glass bottle.
Yeah.
What are some other things that you implement right now?
Um, my diet is strictly beef, eggs, avocado, blueberries, kiwis, and like blueberries are like a must, and then like I'll throw in like a secondary fruit. So sometimes it's like bananas or whatever, like kind of switch up the color a little bit. And then what else? A little bit of cheese, some protein shakes, like just super high protein and like really nothing else. Um, that's pretty much it. I don't really, and then like every now and then, like I'll have some like bullshit food, like like Friday I went to Steak and Shake and just slammed like some fries
Nice.
and stone milk. Why not? Like I
Yeah,
just
yeah.
I just think that there's a lot of people out there that really like I don't know. There's like that Brian Johnson dude. Like that's like totally cool. Like you're trying to like push the boundaries of human beings and like try to like do some crazy stuff. But like I don't know, like how happy is that dude? You know, that's
What about like, like the glass and like cotton and like
yeah.
cleaners and lawn.
This glass is super important to me. I just really, really don't like plastic. I mean, I think we get enough of it everywhere else. I mean, I'm sitting on a plastic yoga mat, it's like, um, but yeah, I just put glass wherever I can. All my Tupperware is glass. Try not to use like plastic silverware and stuff like that, but just do what I can. It's like if I feel like I can improve in an area, like um, lately it's been like I don't know, like I don't tolerate processed foods as much, like just like once a week if I want to go to a fast food place and just like slam some food, whatever, but like just really strict on like eating the whole foods, drinking out of glass. It's just to me it's just basic stuff, right? I'm just not putting myself in an environment that I'm just like required to have bullshit.
Yeah.
I'd
Hmm.
rather just like it's so easy to just get this for like $3 and just drink out of this. Actually, I got this one for free from a friend and like just use that and do what I can to filter my water. I use a Brita. I don't have a fancy filter. I went half on a $3,000 filter for my hometown. Well, my home back in my hometown for my parents. Um, but I don't travel with it, so just kind of keep it there. Want them to have it, kind of thing. But yeah, just do my best to have the best around me. That's all.
Yeah, I think the diet is the most important part, but I definitely see the value in like like clean cleaners and like clean laundry detergent, like all
Yeah,
that
okay.
type of
Like
stuff.
I use like Dr. Bronner's for my laundry detergent.
Yeah. Let's go.
Like yeah, like any area that I can improve on. If I see it and somebody mentions it to me, like like why not make the change? So I feel like a lot of people are so resistant to changes, um, but change is inevitable. You just gotta let it happen.
I think a big thing too is like we think about how life has become so easy and how all these advances in technology are supposedly helpful. And while they may be, there is a lot of merit to living that more primal lifestyle.
Mm.
There is a lot of merit to it. And I don't think you need to go as far as the other Brian Johnson, the Liver King.
Yeah.
um, I don't think you need to go as far as that, but there's definitely a lot of merit to those things, like the eating the way you're eating the meat, berries, and meat, berries, and I don't know if you eat fish, but I like a lot of fish too.
Yeah, why not? I just don't cook it at home.
Yeah,
I don't want my place to smell like fish, but like,
true, true.
if
Yeah,
I go out to eat, like I'll get a salmon or something, whatever. Like I'm not like too picky or like strict. It's just like as long as you like understand that like there are better options, like why would you choose the one that kind of sucks for you? I mean, that's just pleasure driven and like, sometimes it's okay to give into that, but like when if you fall into the trap of like, oh, now like I'm going to Taco Bell 3 times a week, now it's like, okay, you need to put yourself in check, bro. Like,
yeah. 100%. For me, in my case, I had to because I went completely clean for about 2 or 3 years, and I got down to like 5% body fat, not intentionally. And I was like, okay, I need to have the balance. So like yesterday, like a few times a week, I go to this pastry place in Miami
heck yeah.
where I'll just load up on pastries. Like I think I told Brett my order where it was like two pastries, four croquetas, and like yesterday I had a flan as well.
Yeah.
So it's like you got to do it. You got to do it, and like especially for people like us, we're working out a lot. You can't just be 100% clean 100% of the time. Like that's not a life to live, in my opinion.
Yeah.
We were talking about the Whole Foods cookies.
Oh
Oh yeah.
man, Whole
Dog
Foods
shit.
cookies.
You
But
get
that
a
you talking about like you know what the pillows are, the almond pillows?
Nah, I don't know
I
about
think
the almond
so.
Wait,
pillows.
oh, what is that?
I'm
Is that
looking it up.
Fresh Market? Fresh Market? Is that
Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah. I love the
yeah,
fresh market. Yeah.
Fresh Market? They've got these cookies called almond pillows, bro.
Oh my
If
god.
I go in
Oh, I
there,
know
I
those.
literally have to buy them. Like,
Yeah, I
they're
know
so
these. I'll mess up that whole box. Like
good.
that's not even leaving the store.
Yeah, bro. It's bad, bro. If I go in there, I'm definitely getting a box, and they're definitely gone within a day or two.
Oh, I've seen those. I haven't tried those though.
Yeah, those are
Brett,
insane.
you gotta hop on.
Yeah, those are insane. But yeah, I mean, it just goes back to like what I was talking about with the movement. Everybody's trying their best, dude, and like I think that it's really, really ignorant for people to try to like knock other people, especially like when like let's say like Brett, I see you trying to like perform at your peak with the fighting stuff. You know, it's like if what you're doing makes sense to you and you feel good doing it, like dude, like all power to you. Go do it. You know, like if what you're eating makes you feel good and you're okay with that, go do it. But like if I ask you like do you really feel okay with what you're eating and you say no, then like then make a change, you know? Like that's what it comes down to. So like again with the movement stuff, if what you're doing you feel like it makes you better and you like it, then go do it, man. Like that's awesome.
I think that's really important, especially with the working out, because a lot of people, I guess it takes a certain level of taking the time to study and educate yourself, but a lot of people have like it's just they just receive they like they tell you what to learn, right? They
Hmm.
tell you how to work out rather than kind of feeling it for yourself or experimenting with other modalities.
Yeah. And I think that oh man, I lost my train of thought. But yeah, I lost my train of thought. It's not coming back. Not coming
So one
back.
quick thing, because when we had Dylan on, he was talking about the process of Ubrzati, where he was talking about you're at the or explain the process of like what each phase of an athlete, like what they see when they walk in.
Okay, yeah. So I think the biggest thing that they see, like right, let's say I'm new and I walk to Ubrzati, like the first thing they see is the treadmills, and they're like, "Whoa, those things are pretty cool, right?" I mean, that's
Hmm.
pretty straightforward. Um, but I think that the second thing that they see is quality people. I think that's the second thing that they see because everybody there cares about the kids, and like that's really important to us. And like we talk smack to the kids all the time, but like it's part of coaching. You kind of just give them some shit, but like it's all in the best light. But the biggest thing is like very supportive. We believe that anybody can do it. I mean, we have people come in there that are, um, I mean, for some part of disabled, and we help them try to achieve their dreams. And like I think that's the biggest thing for a gym is like when you walk in and you see a community like that, it's really special. And I think another thing is we're not afraid to try new things. Again, if it's better for the athlete, we do it. But the process as far as like physically when you walk in, just really, um, you're getting on the ground doing, they do a little foam rolling. Whether or not, like, I think that helps. I mean, it feels good for some people. But I mean, sometimes it feels good on your back to get on the foam roller. I don't think that it's necessarily a necessity for everybody to do it, but it can help in some ways. But then we go into like some banded stuff to help out with the hips, to get them started, and then like some sidewalks and some monster walks, and we're hyper focused on the feet, um, especially since I got there. Not to like toot my own horn or anything, but like I'm been really like trying to help them like push for that, like have a quality foundation at the foot level because they saw it from BAM a few years ago and started implementing a little bit here and there, and now I think that I'm there. There's a little bit more since I'm on the inside of it, really trying to push for okay, what's the like if I have a pyramid and I've got levels to it. What's the bottom layer, right? That bottom layer is quality, and so like really pushing for the quality of each movement, and then getting into some like dynamics and like seeing like okay, we get into it. We get into like a lot of the Kula dynamic stuff. And then we started implementing a lot of the Brian McGinty, like the fast feet. We'll do a lot of like twitchy fast feet with some sprints and stuff like that. And then we'll either get into like some agility stuff or some tread stuff or some strength stuff. And then recently we've added a class in the past month or two that has gained interest where people are hurting and like everybody in the gym. It's funny because like before that we have a recovery class now which I run, and um before it was a thing, it's like somebody like their knee would be bugging them. And like Dylan would be like, hey, like go talk to Colin. And then like somebody else across the room would be like, oh, my quad's bugging me. I go talk to Colin. And then like I just have all these people and I just be like surrounded. And I'm like, okay, we got to figure something out here. Because
Yeah.
like we just started creating a recovery class so that these kids can come in and be like, okay, now we're focused on all of the movement quality. Like that's specifically what we're focusing on. So now we have that new class, which is going really well. A lot of the high school kids are starting to get it. And it's just like slow dripping them with, how should I be using my foot? Gaining the awareness of like where my feet are at, where my hips are at, things like that. So just really trying to help the kids see that and push them to be as fast as possible on the tread.
Talk a little bit more about your recovery class, because one thing that's really interesting to me is a lot of people have different theories on recovery. So we were just talking to Brian, and especially when we're talking about speed-based training, right? So we were talking to Brian, and Brian was like, a recovery day, like a day off, is nothing. You do no movement.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, you're still, there's still stimulation going on. And then you have other people that talk about like low CNS workouts where you're moving under, whatever, 70% or something like that. Where do you stand on stuff like that?
Yeah, so basically we just call it recovery because the people will come in and do the work. You know what I'm saying? Like that's what they kind of like they associate it with like low CNS work. I definitely believe in similar stuff as Brian, where like, bro, I'm doing nothing today. Like I'm just chilling all day. And one thing that I might do on that day is just go crawl like a baby. And like it's like I just put music in and I just like let my mind go and I just crawl on the ground like a baby and like I feel my hips get a little burned, but like think about like you're gonna walk, like you're not gonna not walk. So like that could be considered. It's just how far you want to go with the whole like CNS thing. Like I'm gonna go crawl because crawling like a baby is when I was talking about like return on investment and your opportunity cost for movements and exercises, for crawling like a baby, your return on investment is the highest quality of movement. You will develop high quality of movement. That's your return on investment. Your opportunity cost is you're not going to be as powerful. Like if you just did that all the time, you wouldn't be very powerful. But your quality of movement would be like super high. So there's where you kind of have to find your balance. But like for recovery, personally, because I still train, so I believe in a very similar process where like, hey, like I'll take like 2 days and literally do nothing. And I just kind of I think as athletes, that's something that's hard to grasp because you feel so anxious to get better all the time. And sometimes getting better requires you to do absolutely nothing. And I don't see crawling to be like too taxing. Like it's literally like the step before walking. So like why not? I'm gonna crawl like a baby.
Yeah.
It's not gonna be that bad. So I think that's pretty good. But the recovery class, again, we just call it that. So like parents can be like, oh yeah, like they're gonna like take a day off kind of thing, but like they're gonna come in and like I'm gonna teach them how to be on the ground, do the groundwork, teach them how to use the wall for support and like really focus on their feet, teach them some quality positions, and really just like we don't allow more than like 5 or 6 kids in there at once because I want to make sure that I can really educate them. That's the purpose of the class is to educate the awareness. And they're kind of almost being tricked into it. You know what I'm saying? But like it's for their best interest, right? helping them understand how to use their feet so that when they get on the treads, it makes it a little easier. But a lot of those kids are already in pain, so they'll come in and they'll go through some of the movements and they'll practice some of the stuff, and it'll be a good way for them to be able to take ownership over their pain and be able to fix it themselves via the education, and then they don't have to go and like go to the chiropractor or the PT and do all this and fork out all this money. So it's just a good space, healthy space for them to explore movement. That's basically what it is, with just some guidance.
For someone who may not know, how does crawling download good movement patterns?
I like how you use the word download. So basically, with crawling, um, think about it this way. It may look really stupid. Okay. That's the truth, bro. You go to a gym and you start crawling like a baby, people are gonna who else is.
Hey, I get the looks. I get the looks, and
I know you both get the looks. You guys
yeah,
are goofing off, you know. But the thing is a lot of people are scared of that. You know, there again, it goes back to the external validation, you know. So the thing is it may look stupid, but like the analogy I like to use is you don't know unless you're in it. You don't know. You really don't know unless you've done it or you're in it, right?
so true.
The art is on the inside of the museum. Okay. So
Mhm.
like when when you crawl, what happens is you're putting your femur in a position of it's a advantageous position with gravity assisting it to push the femur head to the back of the hip socket. And as you move forward, when you're doing that, you're just turning the femur head back and forth. Let me see, like if I get this baseball, right? And this is the femur head, and the femur head's just doing this in the hip socket, back and forth. And it's just pushing it to the back of the hip socket where most people have lost the space, meaning like they don't have the access to, like, you can see it in kids today, like to do this. Like this is just a simple athletic position. I'm gonna field the ground ball from here, right? This is my double leg position, right? I'm gonna shoot from here, right? Everything is from there. That's athletic. But you watch kids today, and a lot of them they try to do that and they go like this,
Yeah,
right? Because their
Mhm.
femur head's stuck to the front of the hip socket because they sit down for so long because they're playing video games, watching things on the iPad, phone, TV, things like that. But when you crawl, you're literally putting yourself, I'll just show you, you're putting yourself in that same position for an extended period of time and you're moving forward, turning that femur head in the hip socket on a consistent basis. And you do that for 5-10 minutes, bro, you're gonna be a different person when you stand up. Every single person, if I tell them to crawl until failure, the look on their face when they're done is priceless. Priceless, dude. Like they literally stand up and they're like, holy shit. Like it's like they discover something that they've lost.
yeah,
And
And 100% like on the spinal engine too, you get that shoulder crawling to the hip,
mhm.
and it's like the lizard walking.
Dude, if you crawl for long enough, you're gonna figure something new about your body. And that's it's just the truth. And again, you don't know unless you do it.
what do you make of doing like super heavy crawls?
Um, Upper body, that's what I would use it for. But like I mean, if that's your focus, like I think the two things to have the strongest on your body are going to be your forearms and your lower leg. So like if you can maximize those two things, by all means, and you're going to start to maximize forearm with a heavier crawl, forearm and back of the shoulder, because the scap and the humerus ball and socket is the same as the hip, right? So that the back of your shoulder is just the glute of your upper body. So
Mhm.
basically, you're just, as you put more weight on yourself when you crawl, you're just starting to develop that even more.
100%. And I will say another thing too is in that recovery class, because a lot of the things that Bam was talking about when he gave his presentation was the decompression aspect of getting into that back chain dominance.
Hmm.
And so, like, are you guys, because I have a very tough time not doing anything on the day.
Yeah.
Just like back in training, we were training 7 days a week. So there's like, my brain never got out of that. So for me, a recovery day would look a lot like doing groundwork, doing some myofascial release. And the decompression you feel from getting on the wall and getting into a hinge and just like having your feet in that kind of pigeon toe where
Hmm.
you're feeling it, it's you just feel the lower back.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
so
So like if you look at the way that the muscles spiral around the legs, when you go into that internal rotation, you get length. So like you're something like this, right? And you're like nice and long like that. So you're basically
uh-huh.
like pulling all the muscles here and you're focused on excuse me, decompressing from the rib cage to the hips, right? Just getting all this area long. But the a big influencer in that area would be Eric Goodman, the foundation training. I don't know if you've
Mm,
heard of that, but like
yeah.
he was a big influence in that realm of decompression. And so like a lot of like his foundation training and his like his prone and supine decompressions are really valuable. He understands the yeah this guy, but he understands the value of the internal rotation and how it pulls on everything. And like we call it cornering, right? When you internally rotate. So what I would just say is like double corners is like maximum decompression. So the more that you train both legs to be internally rotated, which actually happens at maximum sprint in midair, both legs are internally rotated and then one opens the other. But like the more you practice that, the more your spine stays decompressed.
I like
Do you
that. I like
do you guys I know you said you personally came from a background in plyometrics. Do you guys implement a lot of jumping at Ubrzati?
Oh yeah, yeah. We jump all the time. We do a lot of like pogos and stuff like that, jumping hurdles. You know, like especially like if you're doing stuff on the ground, which that for us ground training means agility, and then like ground work would be like
Yeah,
parkour.
yeah, yeah.
But if you're doing agility stuff, like a lot of times we'll start with like some jumps or like if you've seen like a really simple one is like you've got like a little cone and you're for I don't know 5 to 10 seconds you're jumping over and back that cone as fast as you possibly can. Like it's really simple, right? Or you
Great
can
training.
do um like three broad jumps in a row and goes like as fast as you can, something like that. So like yeah, I mean it's really simple, dude. Like people try to make training so hard. Like if you want to get more powerful, dude, just jump, freaking jump and sprint, dude. And like if or for example, like if you want to dunk, what do you got to do? You got to jump. Like you can't not jump.
What about like super high repeat jumping or depth drops, depth jumping,
Uh,
rebounding quickly?
yeah, I think it's all good. I mean, there's no it's not like I would never tell anybody not to do any of that stuff. Like you're just mastering the way that you hit the ground and come off. And the more that you do that, the better you get at it. And it's definitely required in most sports. So like even if let's just take a safety, for example, in football, I jump up, I intercept the ball, I got to hit the ground and I got to get moving. So like you're just what would you call re-navigate the energy from here to here to here. So like there's a lot of just depends on what you want to do. I don't think that there's not much bad training out there besides like if you're like really lackadaisical on the quality of the movement that's involved in it. Like if you just have like meet these checkpoints of like, okay, I am actually exploring a quality foot strike when I hit the ground. Like I'm not letting my foot turn out and like collapse down and like absolutely imploding my knee every time that I hit the ground. Like there's really not many bad things that you can do. You just jump
Yeah.
around, goof off, and have fun, you know?
100%. And I do think there's a lot of merit, especially in my own training. I think I find so much merit in the goofing off. Like is in the end of the day, like if you want to go into a sport, there's like sport is play because you're constantly coming up with different moves the whole time. So it's like if you don't have that aspect to play, you don't have that aspect of the creativity, the I don't know what's coming next. It's just whatever happens, happens, and I'm prepared for it. You can't be the best athlete. You can't possibly be the best athlete if you don't have that element of play within your body, within your mind.
Yeah, it's almost like when you've got like cone drills, like for agilities, for example. Like whenever I set cones up, I really try to emphasize to athletes that cones are not the law, they're just a suggestion. Like it's you
Mm.
just have like this zone of work. Like that's what it creates. It creates a zone of work. It's not like I have to go to the cone and touch it and I have to go do this. Like it's just a suggestion that you're going to go and like kind of work in that space, and then you're going to get out and work in a different space and kind of like keep moving from cone to cone. But it's like having this again, it always goes back to this like external validation of like, am I doing it right? And they've got to like go and like do the drill perfect. But like it's not really about that. It's about being as quick as you can and using your feet in different ways than you've ever done, and like exploring what's more efficient than what I did last week, you know, like so like that's kind of where I'm at with a lot of like the training and people being like pushed into I have to train this way. Like you don't actually have to train anyway. You need to find what works the best and just do those things consistently and see what happens. And then you just go back to the drawing board if it doesn't work.
My favorite analogy to tell kids, because I train a few kids, and the best thing I tell them is if Saquon Barkley asked his coach to jump over somebody, he would tell him absolutely the hell not.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, and like that's what ends up like you see most of these plays that end up being the highlighted reels, like that couldn't have been planned.
Yeah, definitely not. Yeah, like that's like and it's huge in baseball because baseball is you just have to be working fundamentals 24/7. The people at the top are still doing the basic drills, and the people that are like at parties telling them how good they used to be are the ones that were practicing like flashy double plays. Right? They've got party tricks while people are making millions doing fundamentals. You know, so like that's the difference, and you just practice fundamental. Like I literally do a drill on the slants where like I'll just have you ever martial arts background, right? So like you ever see guys where they're just like they like punch, boom, 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 just like practicing, just like hitting, right? So like I'll literally just
Mhm.
like stand on the boards and I'll be here in this like athletic position and I'll just do this.
Nice.
You just do that for like 2 minutes, bro, you're cooked. Your legs are literally cooked. I don't know why,
There's a similar
but
drill I like to that where it's I'm gonna take myself off the background right quick.
yeah.
There's a similar one I like where I'll be on the mat and I'm getting in that position and then I'm just going back and forth.
Yeah, for sure.
Anytime my back is getting kind of creaky, you do that for about 2 minutes. Your glute is on fire and your shoulders feel so nice.
Yeah, dude. And you when you add that little step into it, so like you ever seen like cats, how they like kind of like do this into the ground or like into a blanket? Like they people call it, like
Yeah.
biscuits. Like this when you kind of like have that and do that over time, we just call that drill foot pressure awareness. Like you're just like, okay, what is the absolute best way for my foot to hit the ground? And you're just doing it at a really low intensity and just trying to master that super basic skill, and like through that exploration of mastery you get the complex movements and they just come quick.
Hmm. I
100%.
like it. I like it.
I saw on your Instagram, Colin, you working with some MLB dudes in the past. Talk about that experience. That's very interesting.
Yeah, so I did a lot of work with multiple MLB guys, a lot of minor league baseball players. I was in that space for a while. It's cool. It's not my favorite space to work, believe it or not. I would much rather work with like older people. like I like occupational therapy more than anything. I think
Mm.
that's like I really love teaching like really basic skills to people, and it makes like a huge difference in their life. I like that a lot. But it is cool to train the guys with a lot of money and a lot of like flash and things like that. Um, like one of my guys that I train, Adam Frazier. He's a good example. Like really fun to go out to Nashville and do some training with him. He does a lot of his training at Vanderbilt University, which I did some training with their team for a little bit, and they have a big like locker room for like all MLB players. So it kind of just like started when my one of my great friends, Matt Rupenthal, he is an alumni at Vanderbilt, and I went out to kind of visit him, and we were just filming some content for fun, kind of thing. And um, he played AAA for the Astros. He had a disgusting curveball, disgusting slider. He had like 20 or 22 inches of sweep on his slider, and then his curveball was like 20 to 24, just straight down. Like it was like here and here. Like those were his pitches. Like gross. And but anyways, he had been obviously gifted with the ability to use the pro locker room at Vanderbilt for the alumni and be able to go train there, use the facilities whenever he needed. So that's where I went and basically just start chopping it up with those guys. Like you start showing them some of this stuff and they're like, damn, that makes sense. And then it's like, then you start getting in that space and you're working with a bunch of those guys. But again, yeah, it's nice and it's really cool um to work with people at the top of their craft that are looking for this like 0.001%, or even like for Frazier, his thing is he's relatively older in the league. He's like 32 or 33, maybe 34 now. But for him, it's about playing like an extra 5 years, so staying in the game. And I remember it was probably a year and a half ago, 2 years ago. He hit me up and he was just like, bro, like it's funny at the end of the season, they ask me to play more games because everybody else is hurt. And like to him, like that never happened. But like now they're like, you're the only guy that can play because you're not hurt. And he's a utility guy, so he'll play outfield, infield, do whatever. And so like it's really cool to see that for him. And now he has the ability for him, like the difference that it makes is he may make an extra $15 million, or
100%.
even more. If he plays an extra 3 to 5 years, that's a lot of money in his pocket.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's cool stuff to be able to kind of like give that perspective to those guys and be able to like get to the top of the craft and be like, oh, there's even more we can learn here. But it does get pretty controversial because I've been in a lot of the major league weight rooms, and those guys just they ain't having it, bro. They like I've like some of them some of the coaches, they'll like hit me up and they'll be like, yo, what would you do in this scenario? What would you do in this scenario? And I'm like, I don't know. Fly me out and pay me, and I'll show your whole staff how to do it. Oh, we don't have the budget, bro. Yeah, all right, whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I've definitely like been in the situations where like working with the major league guys is awesome, and then you go into like the actual like facilities and like dude, it's like I I don't like to talk bad, but like it's kind of sad like what goes on in a lot of like what you would call like the top gym facilities. Like it's very cookie cutter, it's very traditional, like it's like it's from 50 years ago sometimes. And unfortunately, I think that a lot of it has to do with like politics as far as like this person gets this job because they know this person, and like by all means, that's great, but like at least try to do a little bit better. That's my opinion.
100%. And something that Brett and I talk about often is the workouts that exist now are what's actually weird. Like Brett can go into this a little bit more, but it's really like all that stuff was created and it what is considered weird from a social media standpoint and from a sociological standpoint is actually what's normal
Yes.
100
Yeah,
years
you
ago.
got it
You know
backwards.
what I mean?
It's called dieting when you eat the right things.
Yeah.
You know,
It's
Yeah.
like what the hell? That doesn't make any sense. You know, like we've gone so far off the path that we have to call it something else when we eat what we're supposed to eat. Think about that. Like now we've gone so far off the path of like training that we have to like make it seem weird to go back and do things like crawling like a baby is like, oh, what? Why would you do that? You know, why would you be on the ground? You know, some people like, I don't know, you just like take like a let's take like a 50-year-old male baseball coach at a high school that, you know, has small town, hasn't seen much, and you go and you're like, yeah, we get on the ground. And they're like, what are you talking about? You get on the ground, you know, like what? I don't get on the ground anymore. I sit in my rocking chair, you know, like, no, bro, like get on the ground and like let go of your ego a little bit, you know, like it's
100%.
okay, I promise.
Even the working on the walk, like I get on my TikTok, not as much on my Instagram, but on my TikTok, I get a lot of comments of like the is that I talk about working on my walk, and it's a whole lot of I learned how to walk when I was 8 years old.
Yeah.
Like you
Yeah, bro.
dumb, like it's like or no, no, they don't say 8 years old. That's way too late. But you get what I mean. They're like, I learned how to
Yeah.
walk once and I never learned again. It's like
it might have been 8 years for some of
Right. Yeah, for some of them.
them. No, it's funny what you said about like the small town coaches, bro. Like I played baseball my whole life, but my senior year of high school, I played basketball because I stopped playing baseball my junior year of high school. Anyways, but I played basketball, and the coach was like one of those like coaches, and bro, I remember running suicides before like before practice, like an like reasonable amount of like suicides and running and like going on the track before practice.
Yeah.
Like, bro, like what are we doing here?
But it's
Even
just
in baseball, to a certain extent, we'd run poles and whatnot. Like, all right, warm up, go run poles. Like,
yeah.
crazy.
It's just like a lot of it is probably just like time fillers and they're just like, I don't know what to do, so we're gonna make them run, you know? Like it's just like whatever, but like, you know, they didn't know any better. And that's one thing, like when I went to Houston for the first time, my dad came with me and he was kind of one of those guys where it was like, you know, I don't know what to do. You're gonna do this, you know? And so and we thought what we were doing was good. And then we go to Houston and we see just a completely different world. And my dad's just he and I applaud him for this, man. I respect my dad more than anybody on this planet. Like taught me so much. But um the thing is like he looked at me and he was like, I was teaching you wrong. I'm sorry. And like for him to be able to say that is awesome. But like that's just like what we knew. We didn't know any better. We ran polls. We, you know, like we would go like this and point the ball backwards and then try to throw it. And like we didn't know any better. So like when all that information comes around, it's like, what are you gonna do? Are you gonna drop your ego or are you gonna stand at the door like this and be like, no, you can't come in, you know? Like drop the ego and like, you know, if you need to apologize to people because you were doing something wrong, like I don't know if you know who Jerry Hill is. You know who that is?
Jerry Hill. No,
His
looking them
Instagram
up.
handle is durable, but it's like DU dot and then RA dot BLE or something like that. Like Jerry Hill, he was a CrossFit world champion. Dude had conversations with Mike Tyson and stuff. Like it was this dude's awesome. He's one of my favorite people on the planet. I love talking to him. Um, but he got introduced to Goda and I was part of the he was part of a certification that I helped with and he had a CrossFit gym. I can't remember where exactly he's from, but he came back to his CrossFit gym and basically apologized to everybody and he said, I can't do this anymore. He said, I after what I've learned, I cannot do this. I cannot train you guys this way. And it was during COVID and he like lost so much of his clientele, but he literally like came up to like CrossFit world champion being able to drop his ego and say, this is what's better for the people in my community and change the way that he did things, like that I look up to that man for sure. Like the way that he did things and restructured his gym and what he does now, like he completely changed the way that he moves. He feels great. He's something like 55 or something like that. Just running hill sprints all the time. Dude, he's a beast. But
Yeah.
yeah, just a good example of that for sure.
Yeah, bro. I mean, shoot, I did the same thing. Like after Ubrzati, after the outside the box, I really shifted most everything I was doing. I mean, no, I was on the right, definitely on the right track, but there was a lot of things like that I learned uh from meeting these certain individuals where I was like, wow, like a lot of the stuff that I'm doing, we're not doing it anymore. It's time to make a change. And
Yeah.
yeah, so I know exactly what that, but I wasn't branded as like a cross, like I wasn't CrossFit, you know what I mean? Like that's a whole other level right there to give up your whole business model.
Yeah, for
That's like
sure.
a financial commitment as well. Like you're like telling people, look, it's not about the money right now. I want to help you.
Yeah, for sure. And most people he said were cool with it, but like some people were like, no, I want to train that way. But it's like, you know, whatever. But yeah, I do think that there's something to be said about being able to have that that awareness to help others and do what's right, whether or not like the movement training is right, you know, like it's not about right or wrong in the sense of like what you're doing, but like if if the belief system is there that like, hey, this is going to be better for my people and I'm
Yeah.
willing to like sacrifice something to help other people, I think that that underlying principle there is really valuable as a human being, and those are the type of people I want to surround myself with.
Well, especially with like CrossFit too, because CrossFit, like it's not, I mean, you may be lucky if you have a games competitor at your box, you know what I mean? But like most people are just regular like moms and dads and whatnot,
Yeah,
just trying to exercise.
just destroying their backs and knees, you
Yeah,
know.
I know, doing like the worst form, bro. CrossFit gyms are notorious for like the worst form ever on these Olympic lifts.
Yeah, yeah, it's pretty rough, dude.
I mean, it's definitely an archetype. I did one summer our swim team we joined a CrossFit box gym, and I will tell you there was like 4+ injuries in middle school kids. We were middle schoolers on a swim team doing CrossFit. Now we weren't getting into the Olympic lifting. The guy was pretty smart in saying that we don't want you guys doing Olympic lifting, but just the sheer volume of things that we were doing and then getting in the pool and swimming 2 hours in the morning, 2 hours in the afternoon, the body just couldn't handle that.
Definitely not. Swimming's crazy. I was never the best swimmer, and a few years ago when I was living in Dallas, we had a pool, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna teach myself how to dive. I'm gonna swim a little bit more efficient. And so I would like run a mile, and then I would come back, do some jump rope, and then start swimming some laps in the pool. And like, dude, that's the most shredded I've ever been by far. Like getting in the pool and swimming, bro, like your body fat drops so fast. It's crazy.
Yeah. And your lats, you might not even be like that ripped, but your lats get so big that you just look big. You
Yeah,
like
for
your
sure.
lats and your shoulders get super broad. So like you wear a shirt and people are like, oh, that dude's jacked.
Yeah,
Like,
for sure. But dude, the CrossFit stuff, man, I'll tell you how bad it's gotten. I don't even know if you guys have looked into this portion of training, but like they think about gymnasts, for example. So young gymnasts, there's gyms across the country where they're connected to like CrossFit, and like these young gymnast girls that mind you, they 9 times out of 10, I'd probably say 7 times out of 10, a gymnast starts with ballet and they learn like plie, which if are you guys familiar with that?
yeah, yeah. I do a lot of
Okay,
ballet
yeah,
training.
yeah. So like the feet pointed out, lock legs, things like that. So they're taught that from a young age, and then they go in and do CrossFit, and then they're doing flips and jumps and landing on their legs in these crazy positions. And dude, I've been into some gymnasts in Iowa, gymnast gyms, where there's about 70 to 80% of the girls in the gyms are wearing knee braces at 12 years old. Like that's where you got to ask yourself, what are we doing? Right? Because
Mm,
that is not okay. And like
No.
you think about like women's sports and like you think about like the highest ACL rates in all of sports is, you know, women's volleyball, women's soccer, things like that. And you look at what some of those girls may have been doing prior, doing gymnast stuff, or doing a lot of the CrossFit, and then they go out onto, they decide they want to go play soccer in high school, and then they just blow their shit, dude. And it's like, a lot of people just, they're ignorant to the information, and it's up to people like us to say, hey, like, there is a better way out there. And here's what it is, but it's up to them to be able to implement something like that, or push it to the side.
One thing I will say with the ballet training, knowing the go to stuff, knowing the WEC method stuff, um, and even knowing some of the Power Plus stuff, the ballet, it's bar training is what they call it, the ballet conditioning, but it is significantly improved knowing the other stuff because now that because I do it a few times a week, especially for my
Yeah.
lower back and my the femur rotation. When you have your feet like this, there's little ways that you could do it to where you're pressing each one of your toes, and it's like now when I get into these positions, I feel it a lot more. So it's like a lot of people they just don't they have incomplete systems where I think
Yeah.
like in my opinion, it's like adding all of it together, having this position being just as strong here as you are here, being just as strong as you are here as you are here, like all of it is necessary in order to build that complete person.
Yeah, and it goes back to what I was saying, is like, there's really nothing bad that you can do as long as you understand the, like, integrity in the foundation behind the things. So like, you could go do ballet as long as you understand your feet, and as long as your
Hmm.
feet are turned on, like, if your feet are relaxed and you're doing ballet and you're opening and collapsing, and then you got legs that look like this, bro, like all the girls, bro, like
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
like low, and they're like here, and they're locking super hard, and like their feet are just turned off, and their knees are just taking all of the pressure from every step.
And they're putting those wraps on their feet as well, just
Yeah,
like not allowing any proprioception in the middle of the foot. It's
exactly.
insane.
Exactly. So as long as you understand, like, awareness, and understand how to turn your feet on, use your back chain a little bit, like, you can't really do many bad things.
I mean, bro, I remember back to that season of basketball that I played, it was almost like cool to go get your ankles taped. Like
Yeah,
Yeah.
everybody wanted to line up to go get taped up before the practice
yeah,
games.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah,
That,
100%. And like for
that,
swimmers, it was the KT tape on the shoulders.
Yeah, just looks cool, bro. Yeah, let's do it. But like our even with like the technology stuff, like our accessibility of things has hindered our capability.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
100%. That's a good one too.
Yeah,
That's a
Well,
great one.
yeah, and it's like, you don't know what you don't know.
for
But
sure. That's and ignorance is bliss, bro, until you blow your ACL.
Going on a little bit about the injuries, it's because there's all this debate about nothing can be done, something can be done,
That's crazy talk.
and it is crazy talk because if you're putting yourself in disadvantageous positions, like let's just say you don't have your feet turned on at all, and you're constantly putting yourself in these small shoes. Yeah, if you know how to use your feet, then even in a shoe you could use your feet. But it's
100%.
like yeah, yeah, and these people they like not these people. Let's make it a little bit nicer. Most people don't have an understanding of of simple things like just the feet. In my opinion, if we just worked on the feet and made that a fundamental part of athletic training across the country, across the world, I'd say like connective tissue injuries go down significantly.
Oh yeah, dude, it's a epidemic of, like, everybody's feet are turned off, right? Like, that's the epidemic. Like, people just don't know how to use their foot. Like, that's pretty much it.
Mhm.
And like, if you can figure that out first and foremost, like, just do more barefoot stuff. But not only that, dude, there's 33 joints in your foot. You got to figure them all out, right? It's like, you've got to learn how to harmonize those joints. If you can't harmonize them, then something's going on. But there is a lot of, like, there's a few people out there that, and I won't name names, that are like, oh, if you say that this can be prevented, like you're stupid and like this and that, like it's just something that happens and this and that. And like a lot of those people are very data driven and they want to like look at like the data behind their workouts and stuff like that. Well, if I go look at the data of injuries on the field with non-contact, and you look, or even let's not even go there. Let's just look at the amount of knee replacements that have been going up every single year by, I think, almost like 300% every year. We go up by 300% for knee injury or knee replacements. I think is just, or it's either knee replacements or knee surgeries. But if you look at the data on that in the past 25 years, we just keep trending upwards, and it's exponential. It's not even like linear, right? So
Mhm.
we're getting worse at using our bodies, and we can definitely do something to be better at using our bodies. I think those people are just rage baiting online, but like that's just me. Like they're just like, oh yeah, none of you guys can like make this shit go away, blah 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 blah. But like at the same time, it's like, dude, like, have you even like tried? You know, like that's exactly what I'm talking about when I go back to crawling. Like the art is on the inside of the museum, bro. You can't just stand on the outside and be like, that art looks like shit. You can't even see it. You know what I'm saying? Like get inside,
100%.
get inside and learn. And then if it sucks after that, then you can say it looks like shit.
Yeah.
If it's beautiful when you get inside, then it's like, dang, I just learned something. And like to be a student for the rest of your life is one of the most important things you can keep. So like,
Yeah, and
like I
I
I,
got
I really would like if people that had a lot of influence to just try things, instead of just writing a lot of things off just because it looks a little funny.
and I think a big thing too is peer review science is anything that science is like a, how do I say it? It's a safety net. It gives people a reason to believe. It's like,
Mm.
I
Yeah,
believe in this because here's data. But now
yeah,
who's to say that that's incorrect? If science is constantly being contradicted, like in every sense of the word, it's constantly being contradicted every so few years. How can that be the ultimate say?
yeah. Well, if you own the data, you can do whatever you want with it. Let's just put it that way, right? You
That's
can you can say whatever you want. If you own the data, you can do whatever you want. You can manipulate it however you want. It's whoever is taking the study that can manipulate that data and do anything they want with it. I've learned that more and more and more as we've been creating a robot that does the assessment. Because like immorally, I could just be like, yeah, there's these points, and like the robot's reading this, so that means you're messed up and you need to come to me and I need to help you and you have to pay me. But like I would rather create something that's as accurate as possible and get people's opinion on it and just keep pushing to make it better and better and better, instead of like, gathering all this data and then skewing it and being like, oh, this is what I see now. Like the proof for us is really in the footage and the pictures, because I know you guys saw a little bit of my presentation and at outside the box, like all those different squat patterns. Like we literally have gone around to many, many colleges and just taken pictures of these people squatting, and literally not a single person squats the same. Why is there so much variance in the way we squat? It's not even relatively the same. It's like somebody's right foot will be turned way out here and the other person's left foot will be turned way out here. Like which one is better? If any of those is even better. We're focused on like what is the absolute best way, and maybe there is not a best way, but there is a better way for sure than a lot of what these kids are doing in college athletes are doing. So if college athletes are squatting completely different, you go to the normal population and you go look at their variance of movement, now we're seeing even worse. So how can we figure
yeah,
out how to get all those people to be doing something that's better for them? It doesn't have to be perfect, but better.
yeah, 100%. And I mean, it's a shame. It's a shame, honestly. Because I work out at a box gym. I work out at Equinox, so I'm seeing. Well, I wouldn't. That's not a box gym. What is that? What would that be called? A chain gym? I don't know.
Big box, big box.
Big box. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm seeing a lot of debauchery. Let's put it like that. I see a lot of debauchery going on in there, where it's just it's a lot of misinformation being thrown around. Like you go on YouTube and let's just put Mike Israetel out there. You go on Mike Israetel and he looks at everything through the lens of hypertrophy. So he'll see something like he saw functional patterns. Brett and I watched or Brett sent me this video yesterday about the functional pattern stuff, and he's like, "This is absolutely stupid." But then at the end of the video, the problem is most people don't get to the end of the video. He says, "Will this be helpful to work on rotation?" Yes.
Mm,
Is this optimal for increasing hypertrophy? No. But then
mm.
the whole video, he's dogging on it, dogging on functional patterns, dogging on it. So then you don't get to the end of the video and you're like, oh, okay. So he does agree with the rotational aspects.
Yeah.
He's just saying it's not optimal for hypertrophy. You just get the
Yeah.
first part of the video. It's like, oh, this is stupid playing around. I'm never gonna touch that in the gym.
Yeah, Instagram isn't real life, bro. And a lot of people forget that. Most of the training, honestly, dude, I should get more into Instagram for like marketing and stuff, but like as far as like I don't know, it just seems like a big game of like in our industry, like it feels like a bunch of people are just like rage baiting each other. Like, yeah, this sucks. And then like, they'll pull up footage of somebody getting hurt. Oh, this is the best and this person is doing this. Like they're on these polar opposites to get people to argue in their comments to increase their algorithm flow or whatever you want to call it. It's just so stupid to
Yeah.
me to like put that stuff out there and like I don't know, it's just the world we live in. It's not real to me, and I don't
But
really.
at the
That's
same
why I
time, you have
don't.
a good message. Like you have a good message. So I feel like that's where that responsibility comes in to be more vocal and to be more on there because it's like, okay, if I have a message that I know is going to help people, it's on me to be combating the stupidity I see. And it's not about combating it, saying that that's stupid. It's just simply being with your message, you know?
Yeah, no, I hear you. That it makes sense, and like I definitely would like to start posting more because most of my posts just come from like Mike at Ubrzati. He'll like tag me in it and like want me to like do the whole like collaboration and then I'll like throw it up on
Yeah.
my own. I don't really even post, but like I definitely should do a little bit more like education on my channel. I think that would be beneficial for other people. I think that I appreciate you saying that I have a good message because I do my best to help kids out because I want them to have it better than I did. I don't want kids to run around crippled at 19 years old because I know how it feels, man.
I mean, I'll give my personal example. Like I saw you doing that landmine thing where you're getting into each side, and I was like, I have to do that, and that's been a staple in my training for the past since February. I've
Yeah,
been
dude.
doing that consistently.
Yeah,
You know what I
the
mean? Like little things like that. You see one thing, and then you see like, and there's a lot like while it might not seem like it, there's a lot of people like us three online. So it's it's the means of finding those people. And I mean, the algorithm has this funny way of doing things. The algorithm really does have a funny way of doing things, but like if you could help one person, like, and you're helping people every day, but it's like imagine like you blow up and that's what Brett and I talk about a lot. It's like imagine we blow up and then it's like people from across the world are like, hey, I really resonate with what you're doing, and now we change something here. So it's like that
yeah,
right
bro.
there, that's just where it's like full circle and it becomes like a thing of joy rather than a thing of like hate or
Yeah,
like I hate seeing this stuff, you know?
yeah, and that's one thing I wanted to tell you guys is I really respect what you guys are doing. I see you guys grinding out there. Like you guys are really like pumping these things out and like you're getting people like almost every weekend. And I see it, and it's dope, dude. It's cool to see you guys go out there and like message people, try to get them on. Like, dude, I think that everybody has a great story, and like you're saying, like I have a message that I should be telling people, and if you have a story, you should tell it because it has value, and that's actually one thing that Gilly told me so long ago, dude. The Goda guy, he was just like, dude, you have a story and you need to tell it because there's people that will benefit from hearing your story. And you guys are giving people an opportunity to tell their story. And I think there's nothing better than it's an act of service to do that. So I think that's really awesome. And I appreciate you guys for that.
Shout out
Hey, it's
Colin,
just
shout out Power Talks podcast.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, damn, I never looked at it that way. Like from our perspective, the podcast, it's more so like this for us is fun, man. Like out of everything I'm doing right now, like this is the most fulfilling thing that I've got going on because it's just connecting. Like the simple act of like being able to chop it up with you, being able to chop it up with Dylan, being able to chop it up with any one of our guests has been it's been amazing. It's been amazing. It's been super fun and we learn like every single one of these episodes like I've got notes on notes on notes and it's like I'm learning the whole time so I can't even complain about any of it.
Yeah, I mean, you're kind of just getting everybody's information for free, you know. If you look at it that way, like, oh yeah, what's like your favorite way of doing it? What's the best way to do that? Oh, okay, let me write that down. Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's a good way, but like, again, dude, it's just a great way for people to tell their story, man. And that's anytime somebody asks me to do this stuff, like I try to hop on it as best I can because, I mean, I appreciate being able to have an opportunity to do that, to be able to be recognized, to be able to put my message out there. You know, that's an honor to me, and I really appreciate it.
Well, shoot, man, we appreciate you coming on, bro. We've been going for 2 hours, so we want to respect your time and everything like that. Any final thoughts or closing remarks?
Oh man. Um, I'll leave you guys with one more book. How about that?
That's
Um,
perfect.
Yeah,
We're
100%.
all about it.
this book I've been reading lately is really good. Uh, it's called the Creative Act of
Mm.
Being
I've
by
been
Rick
reading that one
Gruber.
too.
Yeah, I think that for people that are kind of like struggling and like I would just say like not even personal development, but like finding your own way in a way, like um especially for me in the past like 4 or 5 years with having my own business, it's really it's hard, and because I'm a creative mind, and like there's a lot of like reaffirming things in here that are like, okay, I'm not crazy, you know what I'm saying? It's like the ability to like recuperate as a creative is super necessary, almost like how Brian McGinty says for like the sprinting. Yeah, dude, yeah, it's big book, but like how Brian McGinty says for the CNS system for like sprinting and stuff like that, like you got to just do nothing sometimes, and like when you're super anxious about creating something, like nothing comes out, or like you're
Mhm.
just, this kind of relates to what you just said about like me having a message, is like he says in the book, like if you have an idea, it's your responsibility to act on that, because if you don't act on it, that idea is going to leave you and it's going to go to somebody else and they're going to act on it, or it's going to leave that person until somebody acts on it. And so it's your
Mhm.
responsibility to do what you're called to do, whether you believe in God or whatever it is that you believe in spiritually. Like those that information, it comes to you, and it's your responsibility to give that and serve others. And in this book, I think that there's a lot of really good messages for people that are kind of like taking their life into their own hands and being having that creative output, because right now in the world, it's you've got to create something, otherwise you're kind of behind the pack. You can't just be consuming all the time. So yeah, I think that's what I'd like to leave people with, or leave you guys with, is just Yeah, grab this book, read it, or even just take the last few words that I just said and apply it to your life somehow. And I think that that's a great way to live if you can just start acting as in an active service to other people, utilize your information for good. I think that you're doing some good things in the world, you know?
100%, brother. Thank you so much for coming on. And where could, if someone wants to work with you or find you on the Instagrams, where could they find you?
So you could find me at Recoded by Colin, RECODED right? So Recoded by Colin, or you can go to the Gateway Max website and kind of check that out a little bit. Still working on it, always improving. But yeah, we're just I'd be extremely appreciative if people would check that out, see what we're about. Just trying to develop a system for coaches and facilities to be able to not only help their athletes with better information, but you can also create another revenue source through that by saying like, hey, we're gonna do this extra assessment. You know, it costs however much money, and then like we just do like a rev share split with that. And so like that's something we want to get into more facilities so that they can spread that information of like, hey, this is the awareness of the feet, but it's also good for them to be able to create another revenue stream for the gym while doing good. So that's kind of where we're headed with that. And that's where they can find me as a coach, gatewaymax.com. And that's G8WAY, so Gateway. And then again, just my Instagram.
Awesome, bro. We'll link it all below. We got the Instagram in the caption and the Gateway Max. We'll put that link down there as well. Colin, we appreciate you coming on,
Cool.
and see you guys. Peace.
Yeah.